Shin Megami Tensei V is currently one of the most controversial titles ever, and it hasn't even been released. So today I decided to talk about it to give my opinion about the fact that Shin Megami Tensei V was announced way too early and Atlus hasn't said anything concrete about it yet. We are still in the shadows, we still don't know anything about it. All we've been left with are a couple of statements from the developers saying it's still in development, it's still there, they're still working on it, and that's what they've been saying for the past few years. Now, the last time I talked about this particular topic on how Persona has affected Shin Megami Tensei and Atlus's financial situation, it was a fiasco because of a fake tweet, but in that video that I deleted from my channel, I specifically explained my thoughts, my opinion on the matter, and how some things are just there as mere misconceptions. So what's going on? What's the controversy? What's the Shin Megami Tensei V controversy? The thing is as follows. Everybody knows at this point that Atlus has been milking Persona, specifically Persona 5, for the past few years, considering the huge success of the game and the series as a whole. Persona 4 and Persona 5 are already two of the most extremely popular JRPGs of all time. Most people have already played them, most people love them. Remember that Atlus belongs to Sega, it's a subsidiary of Sega, so they gotta give them money, or else, yeah. Put yourselves in Atlus's shoes. If you were them, what would you do to gain money? I mean, Shin Megami Tensei might be a huge name in Japan. Outside of Japan, for the rest of the world, it is a big name too, but not as big, nowhere near as big, as Persona. Like, Persona has outbranded Shin Megami Tensei, outshined, overshadowed, whatever you wish to call it. Persona is way more successful, popular, and everything else than Shin Megami Tensei. And that's the irony, considering Persona was initially a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei. So if you were Atlus, what would you do? Would you milk the franchise? Will you just abandon it and move on to Shin Megami Tensei V? Well, it's just a matter of perspectives, right? But you are not Atlus, and we don't know the whole story. I mean, Atlus's developers have been so goddamn vague that they're so hard to judge because we lack the proper information to make a statement or a review or criticism or whatever about this controversy. So Shin Megami Tensei V was first announced in January 2017, like months before the Nintendo Switch was out in the market. It was released in the form of a teaser trailer, featuring a destroyed building, a number of demons, and then the students. You've seen these trailers already. And ever since then, they have been saying the same bullshit over and over again, like coming soon, it's there, it's entered full development, blah blah blah. A long time ago, about a year and a half ago, I made a video called Where the Hell is Shin Megami Tensei V? Now, back then, that video didn't make a lot of sense for a lot of people, but I'm guessing it does make a lot of sense right now because everybody's asking the same question. Where the hell is Shin Megami Tensei V? What's going on? We want news on it. So in October of 2017, they released yet another trailer, and Kazuyuki Yamai, the producer of this game, this project, kinda took back his statement and described the development as not exactly far enough for Atlus to, be able to announce a release date, and by February 2018, he took that back and said, oh, the project has entered full-scale development. So this is when people started to realize that they prefer to wait for a much better game, a very well-developed game, instead of a rushed game. Half of the fans were sad, were angry, were disappointed. They wanted answers, they wanted a release date, they wanted news, and people got nothing in return. Nothing at all, except just vague statements from the producer or everybody else just saying, it's there, we're working on it. So the other half of the fanbase is waiting patiently, like they're okay with this many years taking for the project to come to life or for the proper release date. Whatever your opinion is on the matter, here's mine. I see both sides of the coin. I can put myself in both points of view, and I have a lot of things to say in favor of Atlus. So let me start with that. Atlus is a company, like I said before, that is currently nowadays a subsidiary of Sega. Believe it or not, Atlus was like very, very close a few years ago of entering bankruptcy. So without the backup of Sega, games like Persona 5 probably wouldn't exist. So Sega is financing Atlus, therefore Atlus is a subsidiary of Sega. So the thing is that Atlus is making everything in their power to milk the franchise that's been giving them money enough to keep Sega satisfied, money enough to keep them going, and maybe, just maybe, to finance Shin Megami Tensei V. So if you were Atlus, what would you do with an extremely successful game like Persona 5? You will milk it. There's been several spin-offs already. There's Persona Q2, Shadow of the Labyrinth on the 3DS. Then there's this upcoming Persona 5 Scramble, and we've got Persona 5 The Royal coming out in a couple of months. So they have been milking the franchise, of course, because it's giving them money. Money that they're probably gonna use for whatever, for other projects, maybe including Shin Megami Tensei V. And maybe that's gonna keep happening throughout the entire year, so all the attention can stay on Persona, give them more money, and therefore maybe come up with even another spin-off, maybe a fighting game, maybe a Persona 5 Arena, just like Persona 4 did some years ago on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Another possible marketing strategy from Atlus might be that they don't want to release Shin Megami Tensei 5 so it can overshadow Persona. Also Persona and all the spin-offs can overshadow Shin Megami Tensei 5. They don't want to get all these games released very close by to each other so they don't overshadow each other. I understand that perfectly. You know, I am a writer in real life, I'm an author, and in the past, like, I published one book and several months later I published another one, and that second one completely overshadowed the first one. So I understand that maybe the game is ready, maybe the game is on its final stages of production, maybe Shin Megami Tensei V is almost ready to go, but they don't want to do anything because they got Persona 5 Scramble coming and Persona 5 The Royal coming, so what's the point? Shin Megami Tensei V is only going to get in the way, or vice versa, if you catch my drift. So probably and hopefully we will get a release date this very same year, somewhere around this year, an official release date for maybe the end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but that's what I'm hoping for. Because like I said before, I understand Atlus's point of view. From my perspective, of course, completely subjective, nothing objective here. But I also see the other side of the coin, how I, myself as a fan, I'm starting to get a little pissed off. You know, I'm tired of waiting. I want Shin Megami Tensei 5 out now. I own a Switch. I want to play the damn game on my Switch as soon as possible. But I can wait because I, like many other fans out there, do not want a rush game by any means whatsoever. In conclusion, I think Atlus fucked up. I think Atlus screwed up making a very early announcement. Over 3 years ago, they announced this game, and 3 years later, we still got nothing. This was a very early announcement, and in my opinion, that's wrong. It only affects them. It only makes people angry, critics angry, and people are gonna just start or keep bashing the company for these decisions. Whether they have understanding fans, that's beside the point. I think this was a mistake. They shouldn't have announced the game this early. Maybe they should have announced it last year or this very same year. But that's just my opinion. Other companies tend to do the same, like Square Enix. I think games should be announced like a year, max a year before the game is released. 6 months, a year. 6 months or 12 months. That's max. That's enough time to hype the fans, a good marketing strategy, to release a game and be successful. With 3 years, that's a hell of a lot of time, and that's just wrong in my opinion. So, Atlus screwed up. They shouldn't have announced this way too early. Of course, they're not gonna admit this mistake openly in public. Probably never. all they're gonna do is keep focusing their time, money, and effort in the Persona 5 games, and that's probably gonna give them money back, enough probably to keep working on Shin Megami Tensei V or to invest the money on marketing by the end of the year or maybe next year, so all the focus and attention can be finally at long last on Shin Megami Tensei V. So that's the controversy. Let's hope it doesn't stay controversial anymore, even though the game hasn't been released. And even if it's never released, even if it's released this year or the same one, doesn't change the fact that Shin Megami Tensei V, because of this fiasco, is one of the most controversial JRPGs already in existence. Anyway, that's my opinion. Please feel free to share your own in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!